Alright Ludo, come on, I need your help hunting for something, or someone. Oh, I've become hyper obsessed with this game called Animal Well. It's all about secrets and I need to find the solo dev so I can pick his brains, but it turns out he's pretty elusive. See, I've narrowed it down to this cave system, but he's just not here. There has to be some kind of secret to uncover, but where? Oh, wait, hello?
Hi, I'm Billy Basso. I'm the solo developer of the game Animal Well.
Yeah, in hindsight, it kind of does make sense for you to be in the walls. Regardless, thanks so much for coming down to chat with us today, man. I've got so many questions, but firstly, Animal Well is so large, with so many secrets to uncover. What were you thinking undertaking such a gargantuan project all by yourself as a solo dev?
It's hard to describe. I always try to remember that the project didn't start with this scope in mind, that it was just like a personal project that I worked on after work, and at first I thought it was going to be, pretty small, and early on there's like the scope of the game just kept kind of growing each passing year that I kept working on it. For like a game about secrets, I think it needs to at least be a certain size for it to feel special, for you to feel like there's things out beyond like the peripheral you're wondering about. So it just naturally sort of like grew until it felt right, and that ended up, for it to feel right, it took like 7 years to finish.
Yeah, I bet. But in a game that's so littered with so many abilities and hidden mechanics even within them, it must have been difficult to stagger all that out or predict what the players would do in such a non-linear world. Was that ever a concern?
Yeah, especially because the game is so like open-ended and non-linear. I can kind of predict what paths they'll go down. Like early on in the game, you have like 4 different directions you can go in, and the game supports exploring them in any order, and then each area roughly has like a ladder half to it that will require an item from another area. So there's like this dependency tree to the world that I know players will generally have to follow. Even like little bits of information where it's like, do they know they can do certain things with the bubble wand, and if so, then they can like engage with this puzzle. And then later on, even in like other parts of the map, I'll try to give stronger hints that they can do certain things. So it's like if they didn't figure out the first time, if they keep playing in another direction of the game, they'll get like a more obvious like hint that they can do a thing. So eventually they'll figure out all the things they need to, but they might be stumped a little bit and have to like backtrack. And there's like multiple layers of hints, I guess, depending on how far they get in the game.
Oh yeah, good point. We think one big advantage to the Metroidvania/Brainia genre as a whole is its usage of the map as a core tool for the player. Was the map a big part of your design philosophy to give those extra hints to specific secrets, or just to simply guide them?
Yeah, the map was something I definitely thought about a lot. Early on, I wasn't even sure if I wanted a map, because I played like all the From Software Souls games, and they don't have a map, and yet you can still navigate the world. So I knew that they weren't strictly necessary, but that you could potentially get by just designing a unique world with enough like landmarks and, guidance indicators, and maybe that would be enough. So I wanted to at least do that, but then I eventually realized that a map is maybe more necessary in a 2D game versus a 3D game, because you can't see as far off into the distance. You don't have these like sort of landmarks that you can orient yourself relative to. So I think with the 2D game, I decided like, okay, there should be a map, but I still want to restrain it in certain ways. And I don't want it to just be a big checklist of, quest markers to go to. So I still wanted the player to feel like present in the world and sort of have agency in where they go, but then, still give them a useful tool. The stamps and the pencil in the game are kind of ways to sort of facilitate that and encourage players to like make up their own goals and use the map in whatever ways they feel appropriate. But yeah, and then the way it like fills itself in, it does like leave gaps in the walls to sort of indicate unexplored areas. So I think learning to take advantage of the map is just like a skill players can get, and you can go into a room and there literally might be like invisible walls that have secret passages, but they'll be visible on the map. If you open the map and all you have to do is see that some of the pixels are missing where the walls are, and then I did also have to be pretty careful to make sure that there weren't any gaps in the map that led to dead ends. There are still some cases where there are like stalactites you can break or vines. So a lot of players do take it very seriously, and they'll be literally pixel hunting and staring at like, is there a 1 pixel gap here? And if so, I'm going to spend like 45 minutes like trying to get into it. So I had to be respectful of those players and make sure that the map made sense and there was always like something there to acknowledge their efforts.
Yeah, you really have to respect a player's ferocity when presenting your game as being built around secrets, be it as simple as discovering new applications for your items or as big as an internet-wide ARG, because people will lose their time and minds attempting to uncover stuff if they think it's there. That's why I'm so impressed that you've done all of this secrecy and guidance with basically no dialogue at all, well, apart from this little froggy boy. There's absolutely no hand-holding. It's left entirely up to the player to discover these things, but it never feels forced, and I think a lot of that is due to how you manage your QA design. No, not quality assurance. It stands for question and answer design. It's the art of providing the player with a question and then meaningful ways to explore the potential answers to that question through gameplay. And you want to constantly be providing the player with questions. How do I open this gate? What do these items do? What the ever-living fuck is this pedometer? But frustration is born when no avenues to answer these questions are given, no threads to pull. This is how players become lost and disinterested, and this would have been incredibly easy for that to happen here in Animal World due to the lack of direct communication, but no matter where you go, new questions and potential answers are constantly being drip-fed to the player, be it simple interactions always being framed on the same screen or overarching ARG conspiracy threads to pull within them. The player is no longer lost, but has a new short-term goal to aim for with multiple paths and methods to try, keeping the player engaged until the next question is posed. So is this kind of QA philosophy something you personally considered when designing the game's small or even grander challenges?
Yeah, absolutely. That's something the foundation of how I approach just game design. So I'm always sort of keeping track of what sort of questions I've asked the player. Like, I know when I'm showing them something that's kind of curious, and I have to kind of do that with care, or I have to like pace that out in an appropriate way. So there are things that I know they won't understand, and then there's things that like they won't understand I don't even want to show them. So I have to like sort of reveal different things sort of in layers, and then also keep that balanced with like how often they figure something out.
Yeah, I've never really considered how important staggering information actually is in a game with no dialogue, hand-holding, and is even based around obscuring information. If you overload the player with too much information on one screen, they may believe that the background art is relevant to the current question being posed to progress, but in reality is a hint for a future overarching secret. How do you manage to blend all of that together?
Yeah, just trying to, if I'm adding an extra puzzle to a screen, I kind of want to disguise it from the first time player, and then they only notice it later on, so they can play through the game kind of more oblivious to the stuff and just focus on like the more simpler puzzle platforming, and then later on they'll learn more about the extra stuff.
It's a balance, right? You want the potential answers to the puzzles at hand to be at the forefront, but because of the interconnectedness of the entire game, each and every element is a thread to pull, so it's difficult to populate the world with seemingly meaningless art and creatures, but to then have them have delayed meaning later on.
I tried to just not add anything that was just superfluous. If there is like a unique object in the game, I was always trying to like give it a gameplay purpose or some kind of mechanic, and not just be disposable and like superficial. Like, I don't know, I think there's a lot of games where there's just tons of NPCs in the world and they just like do nothing, and they'll just like stand there and like look at you, or they'll just like play an animation, and that always just felt really hollow to me. Or it's like maybe it's making the world feel more alive in some very cursory, like superficial sense, but it's not adding anything to the game, and it's making the game just feel less responsive in a lot of ways. So if there's something in the game, I want people to trust that like, okay, this has significance and it's worth thinking about. But I think, yeah, for the whole time I was developing the game, I was sort of, I don't know, just kind of having this like hypothetical like conversation with the player in my imagination of what they would be doing. And I was sort of, trying to put myself in their shoes and just do what I thought would be cool in the game, and a lot of the puzzles, especially later on, and that I really didn't intend people to like find them, but I was still like hoping they would get noticed, and not only did they like get noticed, but like people got like extremely obsessed with a lot of the stuff. And I like to think that you can trust people to care. If you care about the world, like they'll care, and that's like certainly been the case. Players have been very, very smart and clever, and they're finding things that I just didn't ever expect.
It's a different level of satisfaction when you respect your players' intelligence and allow them to figure things out without having an NPC to give them hints while they're mid-thought. Not naming any names, you have to figure it out yourself, and that frustration is a part of that process.
Yeah, I think I can see from a business perspective, or from like people in charge of these AAA games, where like if you watch a playtester and they're stuck, oftentimes they will seem like unhappy. They'll be like frowning and frustrated, and prior to like them figuring out, they'll look bored, but it's like inside they're thinking. Eventually when they do figure it out, they're like very, very, very excited. And we've seen that a lot where we've like playtested things. But I could see early on you're tempted to be like, oh, just like, I'll just give you the answer, then you'll move on and keep seeing the nice art or whatever, and you'll just have this like vaguely pleasant experience the whole way through. And there's no high highs, but there's no like low lows. So, but I think ultimately, like for the health of the long-term experience, you need people to like be challenged and like to grow and have those moments of understanding. And it's really important that you preserve that. That's like maybe the most important part of the experience.
You've got to feel challenged for that satisfaction to have time to cultivate, but some of the game's puzzles are extremely difficult. Yeah, and we unfortunately live in the day and age where you can simply just look up things on Google. The days of exchanging rumors on the playground and hearing of the wild new cheats through word of mouth are mostly gone. Is it difficult to design a game around secrets, but to know that once it's out there, there's going to be a wiki and thousands of guides online? Does that take away from the design philosophy?
I think it's an interesting thing to think about. I almost think of the later game, the really secret puzzles in Animal Well, as almost like multiplayer experiences, because I designed them where it's like maybe an individual player may find one or two of them on their own, like they might just get lucky and stumble upon them, but I didn't expect one person to find them all. So I envisioned them from the beginning to be like community collaborative puzzles, and I really wanted people to talk about the game. I wanted them to have conversations and get in touch with like the broader community and sort of build those connections. So it's actually, it's an interesting thing. There, in a lot of ways, there's a push from tech companies to take that away or like sort of make that unnecessary. Like the PlayStation hint system is one thing that early on we were considering doing, where it was sort of pitched as like, oh, you can stay in the game and just get a hint when you're stuck, and you don't need to go on a wiki or a forum, and you don't need to look things up, and the game will just sort of tell you what you need when you need it, and you just stay in this experience. Or I just think that's like a very isolating experience. I think when a game is hard, it's actually an opportunity for people to bond with each other and like have this shared experience, and I think that's a cool thing that I want to like design around.
Interesting. So you've taken the perceived loss of the playground conversations and just designed the game in a way to create that discussion space online with the broader community. That's fucking sick.
It's not really probably one person, but it's like thousands of people working in parallel to sort of explore every possible path the game can go down. And when you're designing a puzzle for that entity, it's very different. So things can be borderline impossible, and they'll still figure it out within like a few days. So it's like if there is any logical solution at all, like they'll find it.
Yeah, you've got to trust in your players' intelligence and also account for their collective intelligence too when designing secrets for a modern age. So I won't press you too much more for info on secret design because we've got to keep some things in the dark. But honestly, Billy, I'm so blown away by not just how you've built such an interconnected world mechanically, but also fostered a connected community outside of the game solely based on its internal design, all by yourself nonetheless. Yeah, it's honestly an inspiration. I'm so happy that Animal Well, and Big Mode for that matter, have seen the success they have. It's so well deserved, and thank you so much for coming to chat with us today.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, I'm honored that you wanted to have us, so thank you.
Yeah, but the question is, what do you think? Do you think there are still secrets to be found in Animal Well, huh? And do you think combating this Wikigame syndrome by creating community-driven puzzles is a good solution? Because I do. But let us know down below, because we would love to discuss this with you. Yeah, my head hurts too, puppy. I can't imagine creating something like this as a solo developer. It is actual madness. But do you know what else is madness? Our latest merch drop. Yeah, check it out, gang. Come support the show. Look at this cool design. You could wear this on your body. Alright, say goodbye, Ludo. Alright, bye guys.
This video is sponsored by My Lovely Empress, a narrative-driven kingdom management game inspired by a mix of East and Southeast Asian mythology. Head on over to Steam now to wishlist My Lovely Empress and play the demo today.